Hello, it's Dan, physio from PT Kids. We've put together a series of videos for you to help you with your developmental physio whilst you're at home. This next video is designed to help with the developmental milestone of sitting. So the videos are to help parents at home to do exercises with their children. It's ideal for children who have got developmental delay, perhaps children with a neurological condition, and children working towards their next developmental milestones. I'm going to try and show you to do these activities in the best normal movement patterns as possible. We all know that these aren't always achievable for some of our children, so adapt and do them in the best way that you possibly can at home. Use the advice that you've already got from your therapist to adapt the exercises. But hopefully this is something that you can follow and something that you'll benefit from. So we're going to be doing work on sitting. Now, my very compliant assistant Dolly is going to help me with the exercises today. And to start with, to get ourselves all warmed up and ready to do some sitting, we're going to do some work in line of bringing the knees to the tummy and hands to feet. So what I want to encourage Dolly to do is we're going to perhaps lift up those feet and lift up those legs towards her tummy, and I want to encourage her to bring her hands forwards and play with those feet. So you could put some bells or something on Dolly's feet to make her a little bit more interested in them, but we're going to lift those legs up if Dolly can't do it herself. If Dolly can't do it herself, we're going to lift those legs up and hold them for her. We're going to try and get her interested in playing with those feet. We're going to tickle those toes, and we're going to look for Dolly to either bring her hands up herself and play with those feet, hold those feet, or if she can't quite do it herself, I'm going to give her a little bit of hand over hand help to bring those hands up. Bring those hands up. Once she's got hold of her feet, I'm going to keep my hands over her hands and give her a little bit of a squeeze, give her a little bit of a feedback through my hands so she gets the feeling of being in that position. Essentially, by working on this, we're trying to engage the tummy, we're trying to work on a little bit of flexion, and we're trying to engage that core. And this sort of position with hands on feet is basically a sitting position but lying down. Okay, so this is the early stages of children learning to sit. So we're bringing those legs up, encouraging those hands to feet, giving some hand over hand if we need to, giving them a squeeze, holding them there. If your Dolly's very good, hopefully you might be able to let go at this point and she'll keep her hands on her feet and be interested in them. What we could potentially do is do a little bit of crossing over the body. The crossing over the body will just bring a little bit of rotation into that trunk and that tummy, and that's going to help engage some more muscles in that tummy, and it's going to help when we come eventually up to sitting up to have that core nicely engaged. So we might do one foot at a time. We might bring the left foot up and the right hand over. Hold your toes, hold your toes, squeeze, down. We're coming up with the other one. Hand to foot, get your toes, hold, squeeze, hold those toes. We're looking for a little bit of chin tuck, maybe a little bit of head lift. We want Dolly to do as much of this as what they can. If she's struggling, we're going to help bring those feet up, and we're going to encourage hands to feet. Same side, two hands together, crossing over, and the other one crossing over. If your child struggles with stretching those arms, because maybe their arms are a little bit tight, you could bring the knees up and they could hold onto their knee instead. If they can't quite stretch those arms to get to those feet, or if they're a little bit stiff and they can't quite get their feet all the way up or stretched out, use the knee instead. Do hand to knee instead. It's all good for working on engaging this part of the tummy and working on early sitting skills. Okay, so that's great. So I would do perhaps 5 of each. So we do 5 two hands together, 5 one side, 5 one side, 5 crossing over, 5 crossing over. Okay, feel free to pause the video, work on this activity, and then start us back up again when you're ready to move on. Okay. Now the next part we're going to work on in sitting is actually the transition of coming from lying to sitting. So this is a really tricky movement, and we'll sometimes find that children will be sitting before they've quite managed to be able to do the lie to sit, because it takes a lot of work in that tummy to, and a lot of coordination to come up to sitting. But we're going to work on that as the next part of our sitting program. So the main thing I'm looking for Dolly to do when she's doing her lie to sit is to start off by doing a little bit of a roll. So I'm going to get Dolly to come to this side to do her sit to start with. So I'm going to use this hand as her propping hand. Okay. Now, as always, whenever you're doing anything, it's always important to have your toys and position them in useful places to get Dolly's interest in actually doing the movement that you want her to do. Because otherwise, why would she bother? So I've got her stacking rings. I'm going to put them over on this side because I wanted to use this propping hand and I want to come over this way. So I've got Dolly's attention with her stacking rings. We're doing hand down. We're going to do a little bit of a roll. So I'm going to, if Dolly's weaker or finds it harder, I'm going to hold the shoulder. If she finds it easier, I'm going to come up to the hand. Okay. If she finds it even easier, I'm just going to hold the hip. Even easier, maybe just hold the leg. Even easier, let go. She does it all by herself. So hand down, little roll, holding the shoulder. It's chin tuck head lift. And at this point, I might need to just keep those legs down a little bit too. We're squeezing that tummy and we're coming round, pushing on that arm. So it goes shoulder, elbow, hand, up. And we do this reverse on the way down. Hand, elbow, shoulder, back. Okay, have you got that? So we've got toy in the right place. We're doing a little roll to start with. We've got a prop in hand. I'm helping Dolly by her shoulder because she's struggling to do this a little bit. We go hand down. I might keep a little bit of prop through that hand. Roll a little roll onto a shoulder, onto the elbow, onto the hand, up tall. On the way down, taking the weight over to the side, putting the hand down, elbow, shoulder, back. Okay. I'm going to show you again. This time I'm going to hold on to Dolly's hand because she's getting a little bit better. So I've got toy in the same place, prop that hand, little bit of a roll. So sometimes just doing that little movement, the children will start to push on that arm and sit up. If they need a bit of stability in those legs, usually hold the opposite leg to the hand that they're pushing up with. So from there, little roll, push, 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 Dolly, push on your shoulder, elbow, hand, sitting up tall. Good job. Same on the way down. I'm going to hold that hand, weight to the side, hand down, elbow, shoulder, back. Great job. So what I would encourage you to do is practice it on both sides. All children will have, or some children will have, a little bit of a stronger side or a preference side. Not to say that they're one-handed or not at this point, but you might find that they're stronger at pushing on one hand than the other, maybe the hand that they play with a little bit more. Some children might have a bit of a hand preference or a stronger side at this point. So you might want to get them pushing up on their stronger side to start with, and then come to the other side, do the same on the other. If they're getting really good and you perhaps don't need to hold onto the hands anymore, we're going to perhaps hold onto the hip bone. We're going to get that little bit of a roll, and then Dolly's coming up. I'm just going to stabilize her pelvis here so Dolly can then push herself up and round. Same on the way down. I'm just going to tip her a little bit to that side, looking for that hand to go down, and do it nice and controlled. Okay, I'm going to show you that again. Holding the hips, just around the hip bone. I'm going to give her a little bit of help to get started. I'm going to give her a little bit of help to get started. Then when she's about there, I'm just going to hold the hip. I'm going to hold this leg down a little bit. Come on, Dolly, you do the rest yourself. Coming up, 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 up. And down. Great. If Dolly's really good, she starts the movement all by herself. I can hold her leg just maybe a little bit, just to give her a little bit of stability to come up and down. It's quite hard to show you that with my Dolly because she needs a little bit more help. Okay, so practice that on both sides. It's all about that roll, shoulder, elbow, hand up, and elbow, shoulder down. Nice little bit of a roll. Give as little help as what you can, but give enough help that they can do it and do it well, and they feel successful and they've achieved something, but not too much help that you're doing the work for them. So that's how I would show my Dolly how to do lying to sitting. Now, once we've done lying to sitting, we're going to bring Dolly up, and then we're going to work on actually sitting. Now, what I want to try and do is bring Dolly away from ring sitting. So you'll probably find a lot of children who are delayed with their developmental will quite happily want to go into ring sitting, where those legs are out wide and the knees are bent. So we're either going to do long leg sitting with straight legs, or we're going to come into cross leg sitting. I'm going to do long leg sitting with my Dolly because that's going to be a little bit easier because she's not got very long legs for doing cross legs. So we're going to come up. What I want to do when we're sitting is bring the hands forwards and perhaps prop them on the knees or prop them on the floor in front. So we can do long legs sitting with a little bit of a V, long legs out in front, cross legs. Let's try and get away from ring sitting. So I'm going to have my Dolly sat in a little bit of a V, bring those hands forward and help her to prop. I want her to work on getting those hands down, pushing up through her arms, up through her shoulders, and lifting that head up. It's quite normal for children to be really far forwards when they're first learning to sit, but as part of our program, what I want him to do is bring those shoulders back, bring that head up, bring those arms a little bit closer to the body, and they're propping in front a little bit more. Okay, to hold Dolly, I might hold her a little bit on top of her shoulders here if she needs a bit of help with propping through her arms, and I'm going to give her a little bit of feedback of the feeling of pushing with her arms. If she's getting better at that, I'm going to come down, I'm going to hold those hips, those hip bones. I'm going to help her bring her back up a little bit straighter, and she's going to prop her own arms in front like that instead. So she could prop them on her knees or on the floor. Children whose arms might be a little bit stiff, they might not be able to get their hands down to the floor because it brings them forwards too much. Okay, that's fine. Get those arms up on those legs. You're still working on pushing as much as you can. Hold those hips, okay, and we're going to hold it, and we're going to start to get that back up straight. So we're going to have our toys again. We're going to use our noisy toys or interesting toys to get that head up, and when we're balancing, I'm going to start to perhaps get them looking from side to side, keeping their weight in their base of support to start with, keeping those hips in the middle, using those hands to prop, hands forward, propping, just to get a little bit of as we start. Okay, we've got our head up and we're looking, we're turning. If we're feeling really brave, we might even let go of one hand to do a little bit of reaching to grab hold of our toy, but we're kind of looking for one hand to keep propping, because what we'll probably tend to find at this point, if we're still working on sitting, independent sitting balance, when the other hand comes away, we lean back and we fall onto parent who sat behind us. I mean, what I would tend to say is don't be tempted to get too close, because if you're really close in, Dolly's going to have a nice rest and a nice lean onto you, and she's probably not going to be working that hard. I mean, that's okay if that's at the stage you're at and you just want to just spend some more time in sitting with support. That's okay. Sitting's a really good position to be in because it makes us look at the world in a different way to when we're lying down. Here's where you might want to be with a bit of support, but what we perhaps want to do is bring her away, let her know that you're there to help, but you're not there to lean on. For those children that throw themselves back, and there's often quite a few, what we tend to say is, I don't want it to be a fight that you're really having to keep them pushed forwards, okay? Because what you will do is you're adding resistance to the extension, and if you add resistance to an exercise, you get stronger, okay? So we don't just want to add resistance to the extension. If they're tending to push back or throw back, maybe let them come back, stop and hold, say no, come forwards, have something interesting in front, encourage them to come back forwards, bend the hips, hands down. The propping with the hands will help to stop the extension a little bit because it brings the arms forwards. Maybe keep those arms down. Okay, we're not wanting to just keep pushing and it be a battle, because as I say, as we add resistance to the extension, you add resistance to an exercise, you become stronger. So we don't want to enforce it by doing that, but we want to try and show them a different way rather than it being forcing or a little bit of a battle. So coming forwards, okay. Once you've done your sitting, you might start to, so if we're changing the support, so we might need to hold here and give lots of support. We could come down to here, give less support. We could start to let go, hold on, let go, hold on, let go, hold on. And hopefully Dolly's going to stay sitting, stay sitting, stay sitting, stay sitting. Good job, Dolly, well done, well done. Have a little bit of a rest and have a little bit of a lie down if you need to before we move on to the next bit. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to show you a little bit of work on the saving reactions. So we're going to come up again. Every time you do your child's line and you want to sit them up, I would encourage you to do it this way. So we're coming round and up. Much better than picking her up and place her in sitting. Make her be active and participate in the movement every time you want to come and do it. That way you're then doing your physio exercises all the time during normal day-to-day activities. So to help work on our sitting a little bit and help perhaps work a little bit on some of our saving reactions, maybe do a little bit of ball activity. So probably do with a little bit bigger ball than this one, that one I've got, but again, we're mending and making do at the moment with the best we can because we're all staying at home. So we're bringing Dolly's hands forwards and on top of the ball, and I may be helping her with a little bit of hand over hand, and we're going to roll it forwards and backwards, so that way it's going forwards and backwards but without falling back and without falling forwards. Okay, you could do it hand over hand catch. What might be quite nice if there's two of you is you could do it as a little bit of a game. It's really nice for anticipation, turn taking, bringing that weight forwards, a little bit of work with sort of hand-eye. We're going to go ready, steady, push. Okay, we're keeping Dolly sitting up, and then we're going to go ready, steady, go, and hopefully Dolly will catch, or you can bring hand over hand, you bring your hand forwards and catch. Once she's got those hands on top of the ball, you could do hand over hand and roll forwards, roll forwards, roll forwards. We've got that weight coming forwards, we're engaging the tummy and we're helping propping with those arms. So we go ready, steady, push. Good. And then when it's coming back, ready, steady, go. Catch. Okay, flat hands down, hands on the ball, rolling forwards. Okay, that's a nice activity to do. You could do it if there's two of you. Have a go at that for a few minutes. Like I say, if you want to pause, practice an activity and then start up again, you can always catch us up later. So once we've done that with the ball, we're going to start to work a little bit. That's kind of helping with those saving reactions to the front. Now, this is the first saving reaction that children will develop, which is when they're sitting and it's coming forwards. The next one that they start to develop is to the side. So I'm going to start to help Dolly work on her saving reactions to the side. So if we're coming to her right side, I'm going to hold the left side of her hip fairly stable. I'm going to tip the weight over to the side and I'm going to rock her over, 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 over. Now I'm looking for Dolly to have some reaction to bring that hand down. Now it might be that that hand stays quite close to the body to start with and it doesn't want to help, that's fine. Do a bit of hand over hand to start with. We're coming over, 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 over. You do 5 or 10 of these, going to one side, hand over hand, so you bring that hand out, putting it down, coming back. Out, putting it down, coming back. Stabilising one side of the hip, taking the weight over, down, coming back. Down, coming back. Okay? Down, coming back. As they're getting better, let go. You want to feel them put that hand down themselves as a reaction. So move them. Don't have it too rhythmical, because obviously as a saving reaction, a reaction is usually to something that happens a little bit quicker. So once they've started to get the feeling of the rhythmical movement, stop and maybe do it a little bit faster to see if Dolly starts to put that hand down. So we're going to make Dolly lose her balance a little bit to the side, hand down. Great. Once she gets that hand down, you keep your hand on that side of her hip. Encourage Dolly to come back to the middle. Come back to the middle, back to the middle, back to the middle. Okay? So I'm using that toy to help get her attention back over here, over here, over here. Come back, back, back. Good, Dolly, well done. Okay? So I'm going to do the same again. Going to let go with that side. We're going to go over. Dolly's going to catch. She's going to hold herself strong on that hand. I'm going to keep my hand on the top of her hip bone, so roughly about here. I'm going to just perhaps give a little pull down to help her come back this way. I'm going to use the toy to help Dolly come back, 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 back. And I'm looking for Dolly to correct herself, come back to the middle. So I'm looking for a saving reaction to fall in with the hand. Propping with the hand's great for giving feedback up through the arm and working on shoulder development too, so that hand out. But we're then working on the righting reaction in the body then for her to come back to the middle. So I want her to have an appreciation of where the middle is and for her to correct herself, to bring herself back to the middle, so she's moving out of a base of support and back into it. So we're going out, back into it. Okay, out and back into it. I would again always make sure we'd practice on both sides. You might find they're a little bit better with one side than the other. It's fine to work on the stronger side first. It might give them that feeling of the movement, and then coming onto the other side. I would usually always try and show first and then look for Dolly to try and figure it out herself a little bit. So I'm guiding rather than just placing her in that position. I want her to be active all the time while we're sitting. Okay. So we're doing saving to the side. So swap my hand goes down. Come on, Dolly, come back, 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 back to the middle. Okay. Now, once you're in sitting, you know, sometimes I might hold children in this sort of position to do sort of a longer amount of sitting if they need a little bit more support. I'm sort of giving him a little bit of support, and you can perhaps stay here for a little while and do some play and hand activities. You know, it's quite a nice position to do to do some sitting in, particularly those children that don't like to have their legs out as long legs. They like to have their legs bent up. You know, that's the nice position. So get long legs, hold long legs with yours. Keep that back up nice and straight. Arms are forward and propping. So perhaps they struggle to prop on their legs. That's okay. Bring your leg in. They can prop on your leg. Or you could bring your horseshoe cushion or a towel in front. They could prop on that a little bit too, and they could rest a little bit in the crook of your knee. So we're just, all the time with sitting, I'm just wanting to encourage a little bit of slightly forward on their hips, and their hips sort of coming forwards, because more children than not will tend to have that extension or that falling backwards. So we're bringing them forwards, getting that tummy working. So we could stay here for a while. We've got long legs. You can play in this position. You can read your book. We all like the touchy-feely books, yeah. And that's another thing that you can do with your child in sitting. Okay. So that's pretty much it for our sitting program. So hopefully you found that useful. I think the next one is perhaps going to be kneeling and crawling positions. So if you're ready to progress onto those, then don't forget to look that video up too. I hope you found it useful. If you have, leave us a comment. Let me know what you like best. If you're struggling with something or you find something hard and you want a little bit more advice, feel free to get in touch. Thanks for sticking with me, and that's great. We'll see you soon. Thanks, bye.